Tonight, Australia joins other nations in suspending funding to a key UN agency in Gaza over alleged links to Hamas attacks. Also ahead, graziers celebrate as ex-cyclone Kirrily dumps heavy rainfall on outback Queensland. Yannick Sinner fights back to claim the third set against Daniil Medvedev in the Australian Open men's final. And West Indies rookie Shamar Joseph tears through Australia's batting lineup, powering his team to an 8-run win at the Gabba. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Meredith Sheehan. Australia and 8 other countries have suspended funding the main UN agency providing aid in Gaza after allegations emerged some staff were involved in the October 7 terrorist attacks. The agency's chief has hit back, describing the funding pause as a collective form of punishment against Palestinians. It comes as a deal edges closer that could see a 2-month pause in fighting and secure the release of the remaining hostages.
Anger on the streets of Tel Aviv as Israeli police block the protesting crowds. Mounted officers confront the fury. Some are wrestled to the ground. The protesters, including the families of over 100 hostages still in Gaza, calling on their leaders to resign. They say their government isn't doing enough to bring their loved ones home.
We need to bring them back home. Now we don't have time anymore.
Hamas has released new vision of Israeli hostages filmed under duress in Gaza. 1 nurse and 2 19-year-old soldiers kidnapped on October 7. There is some new hope. US-led negotiators are edging closer to an agreement that would see Israel pause fighting for 2 months in exchange for the release of all the hostages. But until any deal is struck, the misery for the people in Gaza continues. The biggest UN agency providing life-saving relief has come under scrutiny. UNRWA has been forced to sack several members of its staff for alleged involvement in the Hamas terrorist attack of October 7. Israeli intelligence has reportedly produced evidence that shows the UNRWA staff providing use of its vehicles and facilities. The allegations are being investigated, but Australia, along with 8 other countries, has immediately suspended funding for the agency. Foreign Minister Penny Wong labelled the allegations deeply concerning. UNRWA's chief has hit back, saying the withholding of funding is shocking and amounts to a form of collective punishment. More than 80% of Gazans have fled their homes and they're still on the move.
We've been displaced for around 115 days, and now suddenly flyers dropped saying that certain blocks should evacuate immediately. In such weather and with little kids, where can we go?
UNRWA is pleading with countries to resume funding, warning a lifeline to 2 million people is being cut.
As he faces calls to resign, Israel's Prime Minister is also facing considerable pressure from the White House to ease his military campaign in Gaza. Here's Global Affairs Editor John Lyons.
The pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here in Jerusalem is extraordinary. He's under pressure from the families of the hostages in Gaza who fear that their relatives could be killed by Israel's saturation bombing. He's under pressure from President Biden, facing re-election, who risks losing the Arab-American vote in 3 key swing states. And he's under pressure from the people here, the Israeli public, who are increasingly asking, what is this war actually achieving? Something has to give, and something has to give quickly.
And the Gaza Health Authority has released the latest death toll figures from Israeli strikes into the territory, with at least 26,422 Palestinians killed and more than 65,000 injured since October 7. It says 165 Palestinians were killed and 290 injured in the last 24 hours. Iran-backed Houthis have fired on an American warship in a major escalation of the conflict in the Red Sea. Video has also emerged of a British-linked oil tanker being struck, with the US warning of a broader conflict erupting in the region.
A fire erupts on board a British-linked oil tanker after it's struck by a Houthi missile. With 23 crew on board, the Marlin Luanda issues a distress call, with deep concern for its flammable cargo.
We had actually lost the hope that we won't be able to fight this fire.
The Indian Navy responds with backup from the US, getting the fire under control after several hours.
These guys were really tough. They have really done a tremendous job, and hats off to the Indian Navy.
It's the latest ship to be struck by the Iranian-backed Houthis, who've been attacking vessels transiting through the Red Sea in support of Palestinians in Gaza. The Houthis say this latest attack is in response to American-British aggression and follows retaliatory airstrikes from both countries inside Yemen just weeks ago. An American destroyer patrolling the Gulf of Aden, USS Carney, was also targeted but shot down the projectile. The incident marking the first time a US warship has been directly attacked.
We can't predict exactly how any one of these groups is going to respond. Do they want a broader conflict? Do they want us in a full-scale war?
The US is downplaying the escalation, and China is urging Iran to help rein in the attacks, as the Middle East grapples with its worst maritime conflict in decades. Tom Joyner, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Iran says it successfully launched 3 satellites into space, the latest for a program that the US says improves Tehran's ballistic missile capability. The launch comes as heightened tensions grip the wider Middle East over Israel's continued war on Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The United States has previously said Iran's satellite launches defy a UN Security Council resolution. The US has claimed the satellite launches shorten the timeline for Iran to develop an intercontinental ballistic missile because it uses similar technology. A 26-year-old man has been shot dead by police in Townsville. Queensland police say they first tried to use a taser on the man, who was armed with a knife.
Evidence markers on a suburban Townsville street. Investigators survey the scene of a fatal police shooting.
Police performed immediate first aid and tried to render assistance. It was unsuccessful and the man unfortunately passed away.
Police went to the home just after midnight on Saturday, responding to reports of a mental health episode. It's alleged a 26-year-old man threatened officers with a knife.
Police attempted to utilise a taser to disarm this man, however that was ineffective, and as a result he was shot. Neighbours listened on as the event unfolded.
The thing I ended up hearing was the actual gunshots. I just heard the random popping noises, so I've come running out to sort of see what's going on and seen there was a lot of cop cars.
And the cops was trying to put your hands up, but that man didn't listen, tried to escape. I just heard one and I ran. I thought the bullet's gonna come on me. I'm scared.
The Queensland Police Union wants stronger mental health support within the community to curb the possibility of future tragedy.
We need to do more for those who are suffering mental health issues and they need treatment. It is traumatic for his family, who are trying to de-escalate the situation as well, and the police officers involved.
The Ethical Standards Command is travelling to Townsville to investigate the shooting. Police say all officers had body-worn cameras on them and the footage will be handed over as part of the inquiry. Baz Ruddick, ABC News, Townsville.
A 29-year-old woman has been fatally shot north of Brisbane overnight. It happened just after midnight at a Murrayfield townhouse complex. Emergency responders found the woman with a gunshot wound to her upper body. She died at the scene. An 18-year-old Murrayfield man is assisting police. Officers say the pair was known to one another.
Very confronting for police and QAS to see anyone with a gunshot wound. Despite their best attempts at CPR and first aid, unfortunately she succumbed to her injuries.
Outback Queensland is being transformed by ex-tropical cyclone Kirrily as it dumps heavy rain on a usually dry landscape. The band of rain stretches down to the southeast corner, and the forecast is for more to come, with the weather system likely to hover over large parts of the state into next week.
In parts of outback Queensland, the floodwaters stretch to the horizon. It's a welcome sight for those on the land.
Without rain, this country struggles, and I know they've been getting the lockdown south, and different parts of the state look at it differently, but we love it out here.
Some properties near Winton recorded more than 300 millimetres of rain in 24 hours. It's cut roads, not that locals are complaining.
Pretty happy. Lovely to see.
At Springshaw, west of Rockhampton, overnight storms lit up the sky, dumping rain and transforming the morning walk. The remnants of ex-tropical cyclone Kirrily have largely stalled over the state's northwest, meaning more falls are on the way.
Well, certainly a watch point for Western Queensland, with a protracted significant rain and flood event likely.
In its wake, some communities remain cut off. This bridge into Georgetown in the Gulf Country collapsed before the rain hit, but floodwaters have made a temporary fix more challenging. And in Townsville, crews are working to reconnect tens of thousands of customers who've been without power in heatwave conditions for several days. In the state's southeast, it's been hot too, with some areas recording their highest overnight temperatures in nearly 30 years. But by morning, there was some relief. More than 200 mils was recorded in some parts, with the potential for more to come.
Certainly a risk of 50 to 100 mil broadly over parts of the southeast in its vicinity. In fact, localised falls in excess of 200 mil could be possible.
For those eager for sunshine, they'll have to wait. Simon Cullen, ABC News, Brisbane.
A body has been found following an extensive search for a 23-year-old man who went missing in Victoria's Yarra River this morning. Police were called to a section of the river off Osborne Road in North Warrandyte just after 7 a.m. 3 friends who'd been swimming with the man said he was swept away by fast-moving water. Local police, the Air Wing Search and Rescue Squad and State Emergency Service searched the area and found his body in the water this afternoon. Police say there are no suspicious circumstances and a report will be prepared to the coroner. A neo-Nazi group gathered in Sydney today for the 3rd time in as many days. About 20 men dressed in black arrived at Artarmon Reserve in the city's north around 9 o'clock this morning. They were dispersed by police a short time later. Police say public safety orders have been issued to some members of the group, banning them from entering several local government areas across Sydney until midnight. It follows another similar incident on Australia Day. Officers intercepted a Sydney train after more than 60 men boarded carrying a neo-Nazi sign. The New South Wales Premier says those involved will be publicly exposed.
The police have the ability to unmask you, so in front of your family, your friends, your employers, co-workers, you'll be exposed as a massive racist. This is obviously distressing for many people to see this fascist, ridiculous behaviour on New South Wales streets.
I've never experienced this. I've lived here for 11 years, never ever experienced this kind of thugs in my community.
The Prime Minister is confident his revised Stage 3 tax cuts will pass Parliament without further tweaks. People earning between $45,000 and $150,000 will get an extra $800 a year compared to the previous plan. Those on $200,000 will still get a cut, but it will be roughly halved, down to $4,500. The changes still need to pass Parliament, with discussions underway with the Greens and Crossbench.
This is our plan. We will put it to the Parliament. We're putting it through, we will put it first to the House of Representatives. We will put it to the Senate. And I'm very, very confident that people will look at the 2 plans which are there.
The WA Premier says his party has no problems with taking on the star power of TV personality turned political aspirant Basil Sampillis in the 2025 election, but the fight seems to be heating up as Roger Cook focuses on more cost of living relief.
If you ask the Premier, the Labor Party has nothing to fear from Basil Sampillis.
It's not about celebrity status, it's not about personalities, it's about policies, and it's about who is best to protect the Western Australian economy and Western Australian jobs.
But it's clear his debut has some in Labor rattled. Member for Perth John Kerry taking to social media to accuse Mr Zemplis of having political aspirations with no substance.
Attention, Trans-Perth passengers.
The government on the front foot unveiling cost of living measures. Free public transport tickets for school students starting next month.
Monday to Friday when they're travelling to and from school for the entire school year.
And free travel for everyone on Sunday. Playing well with commuters who took the train with the Premier.
It's a great incentive and a great thought.
It was amazing. I think it's really good. I think it helps out a lot of people.
It's a generous offer that the Premier denies is a sweetener.
We will continue to do whatever we need to ease the burden of cost of living. And one of the commitment I made when I was elected is that we'd keep our economy strong and support those who are doing it tough.
The opposition says it's too little too late, not to mention a rip-off of a Liberal Party policy from 2021, with one key difference.
Our policy did include seniors, and quite clearly this government needs to do much more to help the 400,000 households in Western Australia that are struggling to put food on the table.
With more than a year to go for the 2025 election, chances are it'll be the public that's the biggest winner out of this new political tilt. Rebecca Trigger, ABC News. Billionaire property developer and businessman Lang Walker has died at the age of 78. The founder of Walker Corporation is credited with shaping post-war Australian suburban living and was responsible for several major developments across the country. Ethan Ricks reports.
Paralleled vision. A property tycoon with a long-lasting legacy across Australia.
There is really not a city or a state across the country that hasn't been touched by his innovation.
Lang Walker founded the Walker Corporation 60 years ago. It would become one of Australia's largest privately owned property companies, completing more than 1,200 projects.
Urban transformation is something that's not new to Walker Corporation.
Sydney's once derelict. Most notably in Sydney with the picturesque Woolloomooloo Wharf and the $3.5 billion Parramatta Square.
If it hadn't been for Mr Walker, Sydney would be a soulless, barren wasteland of a place.
He built commercial buildings in Melbourne, the largest master-planned community in South Australia, and even a luxury resort on his own private island in Fiji. He fostered close relationships with leaders, donating millions of dollars to political parties, and lobbied governments to receive approvals, like for the development on protected wetlands at Toondah Harbour in Queensland. In a statement, Mr Walker's family said the 78-year-old passed away peacefully at his Sydney home on Saturday. Our hearts are broken by the loss of a great man who changed the lives of so many people. He was awarded an Order of Australia in 2015 for his philanthropic efforts, while New South Wales Premier Chris Minns thanked Mr Walker for his contribution to the state. Lang Walker is survived by his wife Sue, 3 children and 10 grandchildren.
The West Indies have pulled off a historic win, beating Australia by 8 runs in the second cricket test at the Gabba, their first victory in Australia since 1997. Second gamer Shamar Joseph, playing with a foot injury, tore through Australia's batters, taking 7 wickets as Australia was bowled out for 207. Steve Smith carried his bat for the hosts, finishing unbeaten on 91.
After Australia lost 2 wickets late on day 3, day 4 was set for a fascinating tussle. The hosts requiring 156 runs, the West Indies needing to take 8 wickets, assuming the rain stayed away. The tourists kept the scoring down in the opening half hour, but then things loosened in the field.
Oh no.
In humid conditions, Steve Smith and Cameron Green received numerous drinks.
More drinks.
Which the umpires monitored closely to keep the game moving.
I think umpire Mannon's going to come down and say, hurry up, boys.
The introduction of Shamar Joseph, who was playing with a toe injury, got things going.
Catch it! No, too high, too quick. 4 more.
Green looked comfortable in the middle as Australia closed in on victory.
That's a classic stroke.
Until Joseph cracked the door open for the tourists.
Oh, Bowl, that's a ripper.
That brought Travis Head to the crease following his first innings golden duck.
Oh, it's king pair for Travis Head. Shamar Joseph. Can you believe what we're seeing here at the Gabba?
Smith's time as an opener has been underwhelming, but the veteran showed a glimpse of what he can offer with a well-constructed half-century. But Joseph kept his side's hopes alive.
Yes, he's done it! It's away, big catch, big wicket!
With the game on a knife's edge, Alzari Joseph dropped Nathan Lyon before removing him with the very next ball. Smith tried to club Australia to victory. But at the other end, Josh Hazlewood couldn't keep out Shamar Joseph.
I feel like we win the series. Even though it's 1-1, I feel like we win the entire series with this test. And it's really amazing for my teammates. Must give up another shout out to them. They're really encouraging. And, you know, I'm glad that I make them proud.
It's the West Indies' first test win in Australia since 1997. Tom Wildey, ABC News.
Yannick Sinner has fought back to stay in the fight at the Australian Open men's singles final, winning the third set against Daniil Medvedev. The Russian third seed is still leading 2-1, firing 6 aces in the first set to win 6 games to 3. But the Italian Sinner took the fight on to his opponent late in the third, getting the break and pulling ahead to keep his Grand Slam hopes alive. Meantime, Aryna Sabalenka spent her night drinking and dancing after winning back-to-back singles titles. And Matt Ebden continued Australia's dominance in men's singles when he won the final alongside 43-year-old partner Rohan Bopanna. This morning, Sabalenka paraded her silverware in front of the media and fans in Melbourne.
Guys, watch out.
Cheers to the champ. Showered in glory 2 years running, the Australian Open Queen posed at the Royal Exhibition Gardens, embracing a trophy her and her team have barely put down.
I mean, of course it was my idea. I put them under pressure to make this video happen.
Sabalenka does things her own way and says prioritising having fun has been key to her success.
Yeah, I have, I would say, the craziest team. And as I said on the interview, we all had a little drink.
On the court, though, Sabalenka is ruthless.
Wow.
Her powerful win over China's Qin Wenjing put a full stop on a perfect tournament in which she did not drop a set.
Sabalenka defends the title.
The star Belarusian became the first woman to defend her title in more than a decade. Sabalenka paid tribute to her late father. Together, they set a goal of winning 2 Grand Slams before she turned 25.
You're my biggest motivation, and everything I'm doing for you.
Zheng's disappointment was palpable, but the 21-year-old will break into the top 10 tomorrow as her star at home and abroad continues to rise.
It's my first final and I'm feeling a little bit pity, but that's how it is.
And an Australian has tasted title success this year. Matt Ebden and India's Rohan Bopanna claimed the doubles crown, winning in straight sets. At 43 years old, Bopanna is the oldest man in the Open era to win a major men's doubles title.
You know, you definitely got to know how old I am, I'm sure. Age truly really is not even a number for this guy.
Ebden's victory made it 3 consecutive years of Australian men lifting the doubles trophy. Tom Maddox, ABC News, Melbourne Park.
The best in Australia's country music scene and their fans were all in the one place last night, Tamworth. The industry's Night of Nights marks the end of the 10-day-long country music festival, and one of Tamworth's very own was in the spotlight, winning 3 golden guitars. Our reporter, Max Tillman, was also there.
It's the pinnacle of Australian country music, capping off 10 days of boots, bluegrass and bush ballads.
Between the future and the past.
The best of the best dusting off their akubras, and some donning double denim for the 50-second celebration. For Tasmanian berry farmers Nick and Tom Wolfe, the big night ended with 3 gongs, including Album and Duo of the Year. It's enough for the brothers to share around.
The Wolfe Brothers!
It's amazing. I'll have to put a mantelpiece in now.
But it was one of Tamworth's homegrown talents, Felicity Urquhart, who attracted the biggest cheer on the night. She claimed 3 awards for her collaboration with her partner Josh Cunningham. Their hit Size Up, named Song and Single of the Year. It brings her golden guitar count to 16.
There's a whole shelf at home with like a bunch of these on them. I've never actually touched one. This is the first time for me.
You could dust them occasionally.
Max Jackson claimed Best New Talent, beating out a strong pool of up-and-comers.
I love country music with my whole heart, and this is the most wonderful recognition from the industry.
55,000 people have flocked here over the past 10 days. That's almost the same as Tamworth's entire population. Not even blistering heatwave conditions could kill the mood.
The festival is expected to bring in more than $50 million in revenue to the region. And as the stages and stalls are brought down and the artists and buskers begin to pack up, Tamworth is already gearing up to do it all again next year. Max Tillman, ABC News, Tamworth.
On the satellite, heavy cloud cover is bringing storms and showers across Queensland, the Northern Territory and northeast New South Wales and parts of WA. On the synoptic, a high pressure system will see clear weather across the rest of the country. And looking around the country for tomorrow for Queensland, storms across the east, a clearing shower in the southwest and mostly sunny in the northwest. To New South Wales and the ACT, rain across the northeast, fog clearing to a sunny day in the southeast, clear in the southwest, mostly sunny and very hot in the north. In Victoria, some morning fog in the south, clearing to a warm, dry and mostly sunny day across the state, tending hot in the northwest. Turning to Tasmania, a windy day in the southwest and across the highlands, mostly cloudy in the northwest and mostly sunny elsewhere. For South Australia, clearing fog in the southeast, clear and warm over central, mostly sunny in the west and hot winds across the north. To Western Australia, sunny and warm in the west, some light cloud over the south and northeast. And in the Northern Territory, storms across the northwest top end, isolated showers in Arnhem, mostly sunny and hot over the interior. Looking ahead to Tuesday's forecast for the capital cities, storms and heavy rain for Brisbane, possible showers in Sydney, Canberra showers clearing, mostly sunny for Melbourne, a sunny day for Hobart, Adelaide will be partly cloudy, a hot and sunny day for Perth, a chance of a thunderstorm for Darwin with a top of 31. And that's the latest from ABC News. I'm Meredith Sheehan. Stay with us. Compass is up next.
Leadership